What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 16 of Get Bucked. I'm your host, Ryan, and as usual, I get to be joined by my co-host, Jackson. Jackson, how's it going?
Going good, man. I feel like I don't get to talk to you enough, so I'm glad we're doing this show on Thursday.
I know, right? Long time no see. I definitely haven't seen you yesterday and the day prior to that because we were breaking down just about every card that there is. We did opening day Turfway Park on Tuesday, followed by our Big Hoof Energy show on Wednesday for Cigar Mile Day. And today we are doing Oaklawn's opening day tomorrow. We're breaking down the late pick five, competitive late pick five sequence, including the 2-year-old Advent Stakes going 5.5 furlongs. This is a pretty difficult sequence and definitely took some replay watching and some real deep dives into some of these to find some winners.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, you're going to see our tickets in a little bit. I have 2 singles that I feel good about, and I'm just telling you, I super spreading the other 3 races, and I would not be surprised if I don't hit any of those. So really competitive sequence. It should be fun.
Absolutely. Oaklawn Park, a lot like Turfway, it's tough to string 5 races together, but you and I, we're going to do our best here for the people. Before we get into it, please like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. If you're watching on X, I encourage you to come join in on YouTube, get into the live chat. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know your picks for each race. Give us a hard time.
Give us your thoughts on Paco, whatever you're feeling today.
Whatever you're feeling that day, just let us know. Of course, Paco riding in Jamaica, and that's all the airtime he deserves. So without further ado, I think we should get on into this late pick 5 sequence, not waste any more time. Race number 6, our picks are up. We oddly saw this race kind of similar. I went 12-4-6. Jackson, you went 4-6-2. We have the morning lines available, which is nice. We have all the information that we want. You went with the number 4 on top. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people why you chose this one?
Yeah, I handicapped this sequence backwards, so I was like terrified my ticket was gonna be like $5,000 until I got this race, and I'm like, okay, this horse, we're good. This is a standout. I feel comfortable singling her. She's not only does she have the fastest figures, but she looks like she's gonna be on a pretty clear lead. I mean, there's not a lot of speed signed on in this race. And I don't know about you, Ryan, but I feel like whenever we get to these state-bred low-level claimers at Oaklawn, it's either won by a big favorite or there's just complete bombers everywhere. So that's just all anecdotal for me. I mean, I don't have any stats to back it up, but it just seems like it's the forward race to lose. She's the fastest horse. She's going to be alone on the lead. And I do like that they're not risking her for a tag. I'm sure there's some kind of claiming rules where somehow she's eligible for this race to not be in for the tag, and that's a sign of confidence for me. So I'm all in on this 4 horse. It's gonna be a very quick sequence for me if she doesn't get the job done.
Absolutely. I believe the reason this one can run for the waiver is because this horse has been off for more than 4 months. I believe, obviously, our friend Noah Maher, the chalk-eating weasel himself, has joined the chat. Welcome, Noah. Thanks for watching. We just had a little fun little side wager going on. Fun little side wager going on over at Turfway Park that Noah somehow ended up winning, even though all of our horses are still struggling to finish that race. To your point on the 4, this one should walk on the lead. There's no doubt about it. There's not a whole lot of other speed, signed on in this one that can match with what the number 4 can do. However, I ended up on the number 12 as my top pick, and that was purely just because I thought maybe, some days the track at Oaklawn can just favor closers. Sometimes it plays a little deeper. And yeah, I thought the 12 would be in with a good shot. The 4 is coming in off the bench, as is the number 12. I just like Dan Ward's numbers a little better coming in off the bench here. So I'm hoping maybe this one can spring a mild upset, but both the 12 and the 4 will be used on my ticket. And Jackson, you said you're going to single to start this, but let's go to your second pick. I know you have a heavy lean, but we both kind of ended up on a 15-1 morning shot going turf to dirt.
Yeah, I'd be pretty interested in an ice cold exacta 4-6 in here. I think the 6 is kind of interesting at a big price, where I know she hasn't been running great on the turf course lately, but you go back to her form right here at Oaklawn earlier this year, it was pretty good. I mean, she ran at this level a couple times, got a win in the couple thirds actually. So she makes plenty of sense in here, getting back to the dirt. She's one that can be forward. I know she hasn't really been lately in those 2-turn races, but sprinting, she was pretty close to the lead. And I do like that she's getting in a little light here with the 7-pound weight break. So not going to be surprised at all if she gives a good account of herself getting back to the dirt.
Absolutely, yeah. I had similar notes. The late running potential and will be a nice number were both things that attracted me to this horse. And yeah, I would be curious with the 4-6 exacta. I'm probably going to play the 12 a little bit on top as well, just because if that 4 maybe just isn't 100% cranked up for this effort. It is a long Oaklawn meet that we're about to get underway, and I know the 4 probably has other sites in mind, and it's probably going to want to run here a little more. As you can see, this one has 12 starts at Oaklawn. 4 of them were in second, so maybe this one just kind of needs one off the bench, but we will wait and see. We'll go to your last pick, top 3 here, and that's to the number 2, Zong's Irish Frost.
Yeah, just another one that I think could probably get forward position in a race that doesn't feature a lot of speed. She's finally kind of put it all together. Her last 2 starts, she was an 0 for 11 career maiden. I know you and I both love to bet those types. Yes, sometimes the light bulb just finally goes on and it clicks, and it's clear click for her because she's rattled off a couple of wins in a row. So again, maybe she can get some forward position, just kind of run around the track in a merry-go-round behind that 4 horse.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree. I gave that one a look as well. That one just didn't quite make it into my top 3, but not going to talk you off of that at what should be a decent price. Moving on to, let me actually move on to race number 7 here. One more time for race number 6. My picks were 12, 4, 6. Jackson picked it 4, 6, 2 with a heavy lean to the number 4 there. Race number 7, we're going a mile and a 16th. It's been a while since we've gone to Oaklawn, but mile and a 16th is the first finish line, correct?
It looks like it's the second, but it's hard to tell.
Okay, I always forget what they do over there because they really only run races 6 furlongs in the mile and a 16th, but then they'll throw in the mile. I forget when they go to the first finish line and when they go to the second. But this does look like the further of the 2. So, you know what it is. I'm thinking of Keeneland where they go to the first at a mile and a 16th. So Oaklawn goes second finish line, go on the mile and a 16th. So anyway, disregard all that. Race number 7, I picked the race 4, 5, 7. Jackson picked the race 8, 1, 10. Clearly a competitive race when we're picking 6 different horses between the 2 of us. So let's get it underway. You're going to lead us off with the number 8 here.
This
Sharp Spark, a horse that I also gave a look to.
This is going to be a theme, I think, of this late pick 4. They're wide open. There's crazy competitive races. You can make a case for several of these. I think I'm 7 or 8 deep in the pick 5, and it's just wide open. If I'm betting this race vertically, I think there's a horse I could probably make a decent stand with at 10 to 1, not in pick 5, but vertically, because I think 10 to 1 is a fair price on a horse that seems to be figuring it out. I mean, that last race was pretty damn good. I know it came off a turf affair, but he blew away that field. Got a strong number on the buyer, got a strong number with time for him. So again, we just talked about that light bulb angle. Maybe it just finally clicked for this horse, and he's finally figured it out. I'm more inclined to believe that he has figured it out because he's still a 3-year-old. He could still be improving. It's not like he's 7 years old and that just kind of came out of nowhere. So he could just finally be figuring it out. There's a lot of speed in here. So I'm not being surprised at all if he gets the right kind of setup. And it's definitely a class test, but I think he could be set up for it.
Yeah, me too. There is a lot of pace signed on here, and that's kind of what led me to pick the number 4 on top, Harleasy. Elliott aboard this today. Strong late pace figure, as you can see. And again, we mentioned it, a lot of pace signed on here early. I think this one has the best turn of foot or closing ability. Definitely has a good draw from that inside post as we'll go, or inside-ish post. We'll go ahead and look at the time form pace projections here, and hopefully it lines up with the fast pace. It does. As you can see, we got the 1, 6, and 11 all vying for the lead with the 3, 5, and 10 not far behind. Winning the race, it has the number 5 by what looks like a pretty clear margin, but this one could absolutely fall apart. You see the flag on the number 4 there. All of ours are going to be kind of coming from behind in this spot. That being said, I think this one just kind of sets up. I like the progression of races coming in, winning at Churchill Downs, and then coming into Oaklawn Park where this runner does have a win over the track is always something I like to see. Again, just I think is going to get the right pace set up here. Obviously, we kind of looked at this race the same way, but got to different results, which will lead me to the rail horse, the actual inside runner, Sir Greyland.
Yeah, I used your 4. I think he's got a good chance from way out of it, a big price. And I also used a 12 as another giant price. I think come from way out of it. So, well, all over the place. The 1 is a horse I think might be the best of speed because he was pretty good as only in a – I can't talk. He was pretty good in his only 3 starts. One first time out over at Keeneland in a tough race where he not had the easiest of trips. I mean, he definitely earned that one, ran well to get the job done. Then went up against winners a couple times. Ran a good second to Great Richie M, who I know we've talked about a few times on the show. And then finally was able to stretch out, and he crushed that field. I know he got a pretty good trip in that spot, but he dominated. He won by 5. Hasn't been seen since, which is a little concerning, but McPeak takes over. He can win off the bench, especially at Oaklawn. I feel like he's probably his best track. So I like the rail draw. He seems to be working pretty well. Not gonna be surprised if he gets back to that good form, and if he improves at all. I mean, he's ultra tough if he can improve on those performances from the spring.
Yeah, no doubt. I like that pick. First time in the barn for Ken McPeak. And you mentioned that he kind of points to this meet as one of his strongest. So I'm going to skip over my second choice and just keep on that theme with the number 7 Daily Grind, trained by D. Wayne Lucas. This one won up at the spa this summer on D. Wayne's birthday. A couple of bad efforts since then, but we'll just go ahead and toss those. Coming into here, D. Wayne always aims for this spot. He always sends his best runners, and he sends a lot of quality strings out here. So Bejarano aboard, one of his top riders. They hit it 27% with a nice $5 ROI. Obviously, the ROIs at Oaklawn are always going to be pretty fantastic with these huge fields. You're likely rather to get a nice price on whatever horse that you like in this field. Obviously, Daily Grind about 20-1 on the morning line, but I'm curious if this one's going to take some money. But again, I have Pace Meltdown all over my notes here, including for the number 7 Daily Grind. And then that'll take, go ahead.
There's a stat this week with D. Wayne Lucas. It was like 4% at every other track in America, and then like 20 at Oaklawn. I don't know exactly what it was, but you get the.
I believe Matt Ditterman tweeted it out. The Oaklawn stat. Obviously, he is the race caller at Oaklawn Park. Excited to hear his voice back on the mic since taking the summer off taking a quick break during the fall after the summer at Monmouth. Got to see him at Del Mar. A little bit. Awesome to catch up with him. And now he's at Oaklawn for the winter spring meet, and it's going to be a fantastic one, I'm sure. We'll go outside to the number 10, Without a Trace, a horse that you have in third.
Yeah, just a model of consistency. He runs that 87 wire 3 times in a row on the dirt, and he wins it pretty well. He's been winning pretty easily. Don't know how good those fields were, but the last time he did beat Silver Prospector, it was a veteran for Steve Asmussen. I think he was second in the Oaklawn Mile earlier this year. So that was a pretty good field he beat. Drawn well on the outside in a race. Again, features a lot of speed. So he should be able to get that, 2-3 wide stalking trip just off the pace. Makes plenty of sense in here. Not super exciting at 7-2 in a race that looks pretty open, but he's definitely a use in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. Horse that I also thought was a use, and you saw that he was projected to win in the the time form pace projections, was the number 5 Gunno. This one's a bit tactical. Has done some of his best running on the lead, but also has run and passed horses from off of it. Looking to back to that allowance effort or optional claiming effort versus Pipeline and Ben Duke. Ben Duke, and pretty decent overseas runner, but has just kind of faced better than these. So I'm thinking if this one shows up with anywhere close to his A effort, he's going to be tough to beat. I know he's 2-1, so that's not too creative and certainly not a horse I'm going to love to see in the winner's circle, but this horse is going to be on my ticket. So maybe I can get lucky and get a price, but I didn't want to leave Gunno too far off my ticket because I do think he is the horse to beat coming in off a lot of these efforts and does seem to have some ability where he can kind of be placed wherever and he'll be in with a shot. That is race number 7. I picked the race 4, 5, 7. Jackman picked the race 8, 1, 10 in a mile and a 16th allowance race that we both think is going to have a ton of early pace. Moving on to race number 8, where maidens were 2-year-olds. We're going a mile, obviously on the dirt. I picked the race 5, 8, 12. Jackson picked the race 1, 3, 5. You can tell how difficult this sequence is already by the fact that we are 5 different horses just between the 2 of us having 3 top picks. We're going to start with the rail runner. Your top pick, Ensercell? Something like that?
Ensercell, yeah, works for me. There you go. The short finish line is at the 1 mile distance according to that DRF graphic. So hopefully that's right. If you watch our shows at all, you're probably not surprised I picked this horse. There's just a lot of angles that I usually play. It's basically he's paired up the buyer. She has paired up the buyer tops. Essentially, it's 1 point difference. Might as well be. 2 sprints to a route, showed some speed, and kind of just ran evenly both those races. These are the angles I love when you talk about these young horses that are going to finally stretch out for the first time. And she should stretch out. I mean, especially for Ronald Moquette. I think is how you say it. Yeah, he's usually pretty patient. So I feel like you're going to see a peak performance with this horse. I love the rail draw. She should be able to, get forwardly placed, tuck in right behind the speed, and have every chance of turning for home. So I have no problem using her at 12-1 pretty prominently in a race that I thought was really tough. It's pretty wide open.
It is a very tough race and one that I think we both saw a little bit wide open. I'll go now to the number 5 horse I picked on top, Jenkin. if this one wins, you can absolutely guarantee I'm going to be yelling Leroy Jenkins all the way to the windows. But I picked this one on top because I think the third start, this one's definitely going to need a step forward off of those last two efforts. However, out of Mine Shaft, I think this one, the plan was to always go 2 turns. Lindsay Schultz bringing this one in here. She doesn't typically have them like too cranked up first time out. Typically races them into some nice conditioning. So I think this one's going to be able to sit forward and be in a good spot on the stretch out here. I love the combo between the jockey and the trainer here at Oaklawn Park. They're 22%. You see just the $1.79 ROI, which makes you maybe a little bit hesitant because I don't love that it's under $2, but I do love that it's a strong connection that they frequently hit at. So I think Jenkins is going to come in here, and I think he's going to be a real threat. Is it she? Did I mess up?
She.
Yeah, she's going to be a real threat to, not take him all the way around there, but to be in the best spot turning for home. And I think, again, Out of Mine Shaft and Quiet American might just have a little more bottom to her coming in off those 2 sprint efforts. So looking for this one to be a little more forwardly placed as they go around there. Moving on to your second choice, number 3, Enticing Beauty. And I'm going to pull up the time form pace projector to see what we got here.
Yeah, I mean, initially I was going to try to beat this horse. I thought she got a pretty favorable setup last time where the pace kind of came apart. Everyone in the top 3 came from way out of it, and a bunch of long shots fit out the trifecta. I think they're all over 25-1 that were in the top 3. I think you picked that winner, Ryan. Her Laugh, if I remember correctly. I think you had that one.
I did.
It was a race
miraculously.
Yeah. Huh?
I said miraculously.
Yeah. It was just a race that came apart. All the long shots from way out of it came in. So I was hesitant, but the number came back solid. McPeak always improved second time out. And honestly, this race didn't come up very strong. I don't think it's competitive, but it's not like super high quality with these maiden horses. So I wanted to use her somewhere. I don't have her, I'm spreading here as well. 7-2 isn't a great price, but she's definitely one you have to respect in this spot.
Yeah, without a doubt. I completely agree. Kenny McPeak races him into shape. This one came off of an absolute meltdown effort. Let's just go ahead and look at the race chart. Just because you can see this thing just pretty much melted down completely. Yeah, I did have Her Laugh on top. This one had no business winning at 30-1 that day, but Beckworth can train a first-time starter, and again, they went way too fast. You see 21-1 for that first fraction. For those 2-year-olds, that was flying. 44 for the second half. That's just too fast for that level, and sure enough, it sprung an upset, which I liked until the last race when I got knocked out of a pick 5 that was paying pretty nicely that day. But that is the number 3 for Jackson there. Jackson, do you have anything to add on the number 5 that I talked about?
No, honestly, it was a really similar case to the 1. I just thought the 1 ran a little bit. They were coming out of the same race, and the 1 I thought ran a little bit better than the 5 did. But they're both, long shot prices that deserve a look, I thought.
Absolutely. I'm going with the other McPeak for my second choice. That's Somerville, Street Sense filly out of Special Rate Special Rate Mare, rather. I love this one coming in here. I think, again, this is going to be a situation where, excuse me, I'm still getting over being just violently sick the past few days. So this one comes in here. Kenny McPeak is 16 for 88 with maiden second-time starters on dirt routing. So this one's definitely bred to love the 2 turns. That stat also applies to your 3-horse there, Jackson. Man, I am all over.
Come on, lock in.
Sorry. I'm here. My brain's just trying to shut off as best as it can. Esquivel, obviously a great rider out at Oaklawn Park. That's kind of his main meet that he rides at all summer. This Texas bred at a Street Sense, I think, has a real shot to spring a big upset. Broke from post 11 last time out at Churchill Downs. Was pretty wide. Just never really got a decent trip. Obviously, 40-1. There weren't many expectations on this filly on debut. Ran against Paris Lily. Mimi's Grace runs back in here, and then Fallon. None of which have really come back to do anything too crazy. Obviously, Mimi's Grace runs back in this spot, but I'm looking for this one to take a step forward, show some improvement, and at 20-1, I'm hoping this one blows up the tote board. Sticking with the scheme of blowing up the tote board, number 12, Buriana, again, trained by the coach, Dwayne Lucas. Keith Asmussen aboard. They obviously had a huge upset at this meet last year with Lemon Muffin, I believe was that one's name. Got her into the Oaks field. This one comes in here off a bit of a freshening from Keeneland over the fall meet. Lost to Impulse Buy. Quantum Burst was a next out winner. This one's faced some next out winners in almost each of her 4 career starts to this point. But I think this one's going to love the 2 turns. Being out of the Justify on top, this filly cost $625,000 for BC Stables. And I think this one might just be sitting on her best effort. Again, I know there's not a whole lot to go off of when you look at this look at this horse's form in her previous 4 races. I'm falling apart this race, guys. It did not take long, but needless to say, I think Buriana could definitely spring an upset, could definitely hit the board at what should be a very, very fair price. Again, Keith Asmussen aboard, and they hit it 22% with a $3 plus ROI. So that's all something that I like. Jackson picked the race 1-3-5. I picked the race 5-8-12 in a tough and competitive maiden race where there's really no filly with a standout figure. But away we go on to race number 9. This is the Advent Stakes. We're going 5.5 furlongs for those 2-year-olds who are getting a little bit older. We saw this one kind of similarly. I went 5-6-2. Jackson, you went 6-5-4. So you'll start it off with a horse that you and I have covered a couple times over this summer, talking, of course, about the number 6 Kale's Angel for Peter Miller.
Yeah, I like his chances quite a bit in this spot. I think he was one of the Miller's top prospects going to the meet. I remember reading an article about it. He said this horse is pretty fast, he's pretty good, and he showed that at the summer meet. He, super live maiden race in August. I think pretty much everyone out of that debut run came back to win. A couple stakes winners. It was a super live race. He ran really well, set a hot pace, just got a little tired late. And then, Ironman Cal came back to win. Scipio, Artis last, I think Cajun Gold did too. Just
Scipio was, I believe, second over this past weekend.
Yeah.
Ironman Cal was second in a Breeders' Cup race. I mean, that is an unbelievably live race.
Yeah, and he set a super hot pace and just hit a wall and last for a long. Fine. Miller's not great first time out, anyways. Definitely something you can move forward off of, and he did. Second time out, he set off the pace, came flying late, crushed that field, won by open lengths. And then I can't blame him for taking a couple swings going further. Neither of them really worked out for whatever reason. But now, he was entered actually at last weekend at the stakes at Del Mar, and they opted to scratch and wait for this spot to get him in the dirt, which he seems to be working pretty well over. You see a lot of fast workouts on the dirt, and I love this outside draw in a small field. He can, especially with a favorite right to his inside. He just, he's fast enough to be on the lead if he wants it, but he probably does. He's probably going to sit just right off of that horse's flank. He'll clear throughout, have no trouble, and we're going to see if he's good enough in the lane. And I think he might be, because I think he's a pretty good, especially going back to one turn.
Yeah, certainly going to be one to look out for, because I think those complexities on dirt just have a different dimension than they do on turf, at least from what we've seen so far. And this cozy outside draw, this one's going to be able to kind of see the field take shape in front of him. That being said, I did go with the number 5, and this can be a familiar name. I don't believe we covered this one last week because we didn't cover Churchill Downs, because a member of our team here is boycotting Churchill, but I don't know who that could be. I don't know, but I'm taking the number 5 Innovator again for the coach Dwayne Lucas. This one came out last time off a freshening from Saratoga, out of the Grade 1 hopeful nonetheless, but ran his best race to his of his short career so far, making the lead the entire race up until that last couple jumps where none other than Barnes, the $3 million son of Quality Road. Nope.
No idea.
I forgot. Lost to Barnes, who obviously was highly touted off of one workout, got into the Kentucky Derby future pool, and went off at the close of pool 2 at like 13-1 as the second choice, maybe less than that, maybe 8-1.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely absurd. Off of a win where this one was greener than the grass, not in Kentucky, but greener than the grass at Del Mar at the start of the summer meet. This one ran a really professional race, and you can tell this one's really figuring it out. We talked about that light bulb angle a little bit earlier on in the day, and I think that this is going to be an example of that light bulb angle taking effect, because you can clearly see this one had a little bit of time off in the summer, came back and looked to be a brand new horse. Saez gave an excellent ride, sending this one to the lead, and I think that's what's going to happen here. And I don't see a whole lot of other early pace that can go sub 22 for the first quarter. Obviously, we're going 5.5 furlongs again today, so this one's going to have to hang on. But second off the bench, I'm thinking this one's going to be able to just kind of have outside, get us at the outside trip, because I don't think Kale's Angel is going to go to the lead in this spot. Could be kind of close, but I'm curious to see exactly how close Kale's Angel sits. But I think Innovator might just have enough. Now, second off the bench again, off of a brief freshening from Saratoga, dropping out of the Grade 1 back into maiden special weight company. So Innovator on top for me. Jackson, Kale's Angel on top for you. We'll talk quickly about the number 4 and then the number 2, but go ahead and take it away with the number 4, Perfect Magic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a 2-horse race. We had to pick 3, so I had this horse up there just because he's a speed horse and he's going to be on the lead. I think he's got to go because Asmussen's got 2, and his best shot is probably the 2-horse who comes from off of it. So I think with this 4-horse entered, and this is part of the reason why I like Kills Angel. I think this 4 is going to be go, 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 get the lead at all costs. And that's going to hurt the 5-horse. I don't think the 4 can hang on against the likes of these, but I do think he could be a horse that messes up the pace a little bit. So hoping the 4 and 5 just kind of hook up, and the 6 is just sit in the perfect spot right behind him. Maybe the 4 hangs on for 3rd or something, but I think it's a 2-horse race. It's a 2 favorites, and I like the bigger price.
Absolutely. We had a shared Steve Asmussen 3rd choice. I just went with the other Steve. 3 Echoes. Sorry. All right. This one is going to be coming from off the pace, and I think this one has a decent chance if the number 4 sends. Sorry, man.
It took me a minute, but I got it. Good job.
Hey, thank you. Yep. Lovely. And by the way, for anybody watching Turfway Park, it's been a chalky day there so far. 9-5 shot, just 1. 2 odds on to kind of start it, or odds on like 7-5 or whatever, 7-2. So whatever. That is what it is. That's unlike Turfway, as they had an early pick 5 carryover yesterday. But to stick with Oaklawn Park here, we got 3 Echoes. I think if the 4 does send with the number 5 Innovator, I think that does set up for the number 6 first, because I think Kills Angel is going to be able to sit a little bit closer. And that 5.5 furlongs, it's going to be tough to make up any kind of substantial ground, which is why I couldn't pick the 2 in front of the 6. However, I think if this thing really, really melts down, and there is a slight chance it does, because if the 4 that we just talked about sends, real hard and duels Innovator into the ground, and they go, 43 and something, 3 Echoes is going to be coming late. And I mean, again, I'm a pretty heavy lean on the 5 here. You're a pretty heavy lean on the 6, but we did want to pick a 3rd one. And I think if this one does melt down, and there's a slight chance it does, I want 3 Echoes to pick up all the pieces if everybody's just kind of staggering home at that 5 furlong pole. So that is the 5.5 furlong 2-year-old Advent Stakes at Oaklawn Park, race number 9. I picked the race 5-6-2. Jackson, you picked the race 6-5-4. We'll move on now to race number 10. We are going 1 mile and 3/16. We're finishing at that second finish line. Allowance, the real finish line. Starter allowance, $10,000. Picks are up. I went 8-11-4. Jackson, you went 5-9-11. We'll start with your pick, the number 5 horse. Speaking, of course, about Indian Gulch, a horse that I gave a really strong look to up till late when I couldn't pick this one in the top 3.
Yeah, I actually went back and watched that Keeneland race where the one big paper comes out of this horse, Indian Gulch, and the 8, Truculent, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
Truculent, yeah. They're all coming out of the same race. I thought Truculent had the most perfect trip of all time. I mean, the pace was pretty hot, to be fair. But, he got good forward position, was a couple lengths off, a couple big long shots, and just hugged the rail the whole way around. The rail just opened up for him in the stretch. He went right through, saved every inch of ground, and then he kind of was wandering late, and he barely held on to win that day. I thought it was he just took advantage of a really, really good trip. To be fair, he could get a good trip again in this race, not a lot of speed, but as a favorite who might come down from that 5-2 spot, I wanted to take Indian Gulch instead, who was making a move on the turn, and it's not in the comment line, but he had to take up and lost a few lengths on the far turn. And I love that he still re-rallied, came running late, and was able to get up for 3rd. Was only being a length after that trouble. So wanted to upgrade that performance for sure. Last time out, he had no chance. It was very speed favoring race. I think the top 3 were all in the top 4 the whole way around. So very much held together. I think he's going to really appreciate. I know he's going to really appreciate the stretch out to mile 3/16 because he's won a mile 3/4 before. So he's a horse that he's going to love the added ground. He's going to love the added ground. I'm just a little concerned that the pace isn't going to be right for him. That's why I couldn't lean on heavier, because I do like his chances a lot, especially as the 3rd or 4th choice. But that is a concern for me for sure. There's not a very clear pace scenario where there could be fast. They could be going fast.
Absolutely. Indian Gulch, I gave a similar look. This is a really consistent runner. Always gives you that mid to high 70s effort, capable of that low 80s. And I don't know what it's going to take to win this one. Probably low 80s, 83 might do it. We're going to go now to my top pick, the number 8 that you talked about a little bit. That's Truculent, coming out of the same race as Indian Gulch. And I mean, yeah, a mile and an eighth. It says it favored closers. They didn't go crazy fast. I think it was just the way Keeneland was kind of playing that day, if my memory serves correctly. This one, as you mentioned, dream trip last time out, right? Should have won and should have ran away with it. Only ended up winning by a head. I love the Lasix on in this spot in the Greenwood Cup. Obviously, that's a mile and a half and lost to Next, my top pick in the Breeders' Cup Classic, he's still trying to finish that race from what I hear. But back in versus the starter allowance company where he clearly fits. That last effort was clearly, it was nice. I think stretching out the extra half a furlong here is going to be to his benefit. He's going to get the right setup. In my opinion, I think there is some pace in here, but I don't know that it's going to be, flaming hot where this one's not going to be able to exercise his late turn of foot. I think Truculent a little low on the morning line and probably going to be around that price, maybe even lower come post time. So I don't want to take him as like a single because I don't think he's a cinch by any stretch of the imagination, but this is going to be my top pick because just like the number 5 Indian Gulch, this one is a really consistent runner and has 10 in the money finishes out of 14 starts here at Oaklawn Park. Hasn't gone the mile in a 3/16, but I'm not worried about that being a distance. This one has tried going the marathon length of a mile and a quarter and a mile and 3/4 a couple times, has a second, and has obviously, the 6x33, but we don't need to talk about that one. Clearly, he's back versus the company in the field that he likes to be against. I think that this is going to be to his liking, and he should get the right setup and should be able to find himself in the winner's circle. We're going to talk now about the number 11. Oh, too far. Bright Spark. I'll let you lead this one off. You picked this horse third, and I picked this horse in second.
Yeah, I picked him third. That last race, I didn't really know what to do with because it was against way lesser, and he crushed. He got a monster number for it. Time Form has it way lower. I think they had it at like a 80 buyer equivalent. So there's some serious disagreement between the two speed figures that I use. So I wasn't quite sure what to do with that last race, but definitely toss a turf race since he's not a turf horse. And his 4 last year at Fairgrounds was really good. I mean, he was 3/4 of a length behind Highland Falls, right there behind Money Supply. Pyrenees is the stakes winner for Cherie DeVoe. I mean, those are really quality horses he was battling against on the dirt. So I think he's a must use. He's another that comes from way out of it. And he's not really one I wanted to lean on just because I wasn't quite sure what to do with the recent form. But he's a must use. He's very consistent. He likes his dirt and he should be rolling late. I just don't know if he's going to get the setup that he needs.
Yeah, I wanted to pick this horse on top, but like you, I noticed the time form and the buyer didn't quite match up. It just seemed like a weird kind of race. So I didn't really trust that speed figure. But even at like an 85, that's still going to makes him a very formidable opponent in here. I thought Truculent just had a more consistent run of things. They seem to be, again, I don't know why they're throwing that horse onto the turf. He clearly prefers the dirt and runs his best races in there. But that being said, also to step back up into the protected allowance company, I just kind of wanted to take Truculent over that just because he's kind of more proven at the level than Bright Spark has been recently. Sorry, my cat is tearing something apart over there right off screen. So I like Bright Spark. However, Truculent to me was just a little more appealing. This one also draws a little farther outside. You have the full length of the stretch, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. But I think Truculent might be able to just kind of get the jump on the number 11, and that might be all it takes. They both have a good class edge. I think Bright Spark does have the better back class of the two runners. Speaking about Truculent and Bright Spark, of course. But I am intrigued to see how Bright Spark runs and if he can, maintain that same consistency and if that buyer speed figure holds up from the last race. We'll go now to the number 9. That is CFV Bullet. Huge price at 20-1 to blow it up in the nightcap.
Yeah, well, we keep talking about the pace scenario, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of speed up there. This is the horse that might find himself on the lead, and maybe he just gets really brave and takes them all the way because his best races by far have come when he does get that forward position. You can see every time he's close, he runs really well, and every time he comes from pretty far off the pace, he just doesn't show up at all. So in a race that who knows who's going to lead it, it's up for the taking. I think Time Form does have this one in front. So if he can get really aggressive out of the gate, just go to the front. Maybe we'll just see what happens. I think the 3 favorites are pretty logical. They're all pretty consistent. One of them is likely to win. But if they are to lose, it's because a horse like this just gets brave, gets it alone, uncontested lead, and takes them all the way.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm never going to talk you off a 20 to 1 shot. So that is CFV Bullet. I'll talk quickly about my number 4 before we break down our pick fives for this opening day at Oaklawn Park tomorrow. I'm going to start with the number 4, or end off with the number 4, Great Heart. Trained by Dan Ward, who again sends a very live string to Oaklawn Park. This runner, 3 wins, 3 seconds, 3/3, 12 starts, blinkers off. 3 wins, 3 seconds, 3/3 at Oaklawn Park. Gets blinkers off for this effort. Drops down $10,000 on the starter allowance company. I don't know that he's really going to be facing any easier. So it's not a huge drop in class, but it is a drop just a little bit. I did mean to check the purse, $55,000 for this allowance rate, which is just incredible. They're $10,000 allowance field and they're running for $55K. That's some maiden races out in California. So this one, second off the layoff from some races out at Del Mar over this summer. It was trained by Kelly Bainham at the time, cleaned off, protected by Dan Ward last time out at Remington Park. They ran over a sloppy track and just kind of ran around there. I don't think this one loves the sloppy field, or the sloppy track, rather. Probably going to get a dry track here tomorrow, just based off the weather and what I've seen. Empire Maker out of a Stormy Atlantic mare. This one cost $400,000 and probably hasn't quite lived up to that, but has earned $260K. Kind of at the tail end, but I like to see Dan Ward still protecting this horse in this spot. Should be able to have some good tactical position as he runs around there. I didn't pick this horse on top because I think the 8 and 11 are pretty formidable if they run back to any of their efforts, but it was tough to split the 4 and the 5. Your top pick, the number 5, and then Great Heart here at the number 4, because I think they're both hard-trying horses who they always try their best.
Yeah. Also, thanks for the reminder. I have to add Hot Springs to my weather app so I can just pull it up really quick to see what
yes,
it's
you
like.
do.
So get that short going. It is supposed to be sunny tomorrow. It's supposed to be 47, but it's sunny. So
yeah. If any of my friends ever looked at my weather app, they'd wonder what like they don't know that I bet on horse racing or that I'm into horse racing. Like they would have no idea why. They're like, why do you have Hot Springs, Aqueduct, Hallandale Beach?
Just 7 random cities across the country.
Exactly. Yeah. Some very random cities. But that the reason is because we love to bet horses and we need to know the weather because that matters. So I went 8, 11, 4, the final race of the day, race 10 at Oaklawn Park. Jackson went 5, 9, 11. We're going to go over quickly our pick 5 tickets. Obviously, this is a competitive sequence. We can't both hit because we both have singles and we both singled in different legs. Why don't you break us down first with your $60 ticket?
Yeah, just kind of try to keep it as simple as possible. If we're going to crush those strong opinions, and if they're right, then hopefully we get home with them. If not, then it's going to be a quick day. One way or another is the one I'm going to go with, the Lone Speed and the State Bred claiming race. I think, again, having the claiming tag waived is a really good sign of confidence. They don't want to lose this horse, but they do want to run her at a level where she should probably win, and she should probably win. So going to get the favorite home in that race, hopefully. Super spready in that 7th race. That 7th race I thought was the toughest one. I have absolutely no idea. I am 6 deep. Good mix of long shots and favorites, but hoping that's enough. That 8th race is also tough, that maiden field. I do like and Sorcell. And Sorcell is my top choice. We didn't talk about the Brad Cox horse, but I think I know I'm using her just because I didn't think it was the highest quality maiden field, and I don't think he's the best Brad Cox horse we're ever going to see either, but it may not matter in a race like that. So I did throw him in there along with some other prices, and again, good mix of prices and favorites. Kale's Angel's a big play for me. I think he's got a really good chance tomorrow, and he might go off even higher than 5-2. I think they're going to go crazy for that Wayne Lucas horse tomorrow, and I think Kale's Angel's going to get a great trip, and he's very talented. So no problem singling him, and then just going to try to get home with the 3 logicals and last, and a big bomber that might get a lone lead, and we're going to hope that's enough in this early opening day pick 5. It's a fantastic sequence.
Absolutely a fantastic sequence. That's a $60 ticket brought to you by Jackson with 2 singles starting in the first and then in the feature race in the Advent with Kale's Angel. I'm starting this off going 4, 6, 12. I do think the 4 is the horse to beat. However, he might be a little bit short off the layoff. So I know the 12 is also coming in off a layoff from the spring, which is why I wanted to throw the 6 in there. 6, bit of a fuzzy horse in good form right now. Obviously going to have to switch to the dirt from the turf, but regardless of all that, I think that one could just have a little more bottom to him. And if the 4 and the 12 just maybe aren't finishing off quite the way we want to, I'm hoping the 6 kind of picks everybody up. that next race you mentioned, toughest in the sequence, I thought for sure. I went 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I'm 5 deep in there. Excuse me. 5 deep in there. 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I thought you needed to go spread these next 2 legs because I thought any of these horses could win. Obviously, we're not much of an all button kind of crew around here, but if I could, I would type of a deal. Next race, I went 1, 3, 5, 8, and 12. Those are the 5 most logical winners. The sixth horse that would be logical is the Brad Cox horse that you were talking about that we actually didn't touch on, but that's because I just didn't think he was much of a threat in there, but would be one to toss on if any of those picks kind of scratch. Next race, I am going with Innovator. I love that last effort going 5.5, and I think as long as Christian Torres sends this one to the lead, I think that one is going to be able to open up and this time hang on. I think Barnes, as much as I maybe don't want to say it, I think Barnes is a real runner and is going to be a threat moving forward. Obviously, when you name a horse after somebody, typically that's some bad luck, i.e. Miramati and some others. But I think Barnes may be bucking that trend, so to speak. And maybe bucking that trend and might be a real runner. I'm excited to see where he ends up next. It's going to be out on the West Coast from everything I've heard and read. So we'll find out. And then in the last race, I'm going with my 2 logicals, Truculent and Bright Spark. I think those 2 are just models of consistency, and they've had better buyers than the 4 and the 5. I give some respect to that 9 CFV Force because he might get braided on the lead, and that's always dangerous depending on how the track plays. Obviously, I'll kind of pay attention early on there at Oaklawn, but 8-11 for me in the last. That's a $75 ticket, $60 by Jackson. And hopefully, if you play one of our tickets, you're going to end up a winner because this sequence should pay with some good prices just in those second and third legs alone. That's opening day at Oaklawn Park.
My dog was is distracting me. He's very hungry, but I was listening. You did a great job breaking down your ticket.
I was just gonna say, opening day at Oaklawn Park. It's fun to have that track as an option because with just dirt racing, it kind of helps your handicapping. If you like me, I love betting turf races. There's a dog.
Doggy.
I'd pick up my cat, but he's over there eating right now, and my dog is somewhere in the other room. I'm in that room that you guys all call a dungeon. It's just I could understand, even though I'm at ground level. But it's nice to see Oaklawn back on the betting ticket, having that as an option because I love that track. You can always find a price anytime you're playing any type of sequence there. They have payouts around what Turfway Park can do in terms of bombers in any leg, no matter how formful it may look. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Double episode this week with Get Bucked as we did opening day at Turfway and opening day here at Oaklawn, or out at Oaklawn Park. Not here. I'm on the West Coast. I'm in San Diego. Not in that 47-degree sunny weather. It's like 74 almost. But yeah, this has been episode 16. I'll try and end this thing before we get too off the rails. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm your host, Ryan. This is my co-host, Jackson. We'll be back next week. And stay tuned to find out what sequence we're going to cover. But thank you.